If you've been using MacBooks for a while, you may have noticed how hot they get when sitting on your lap or playing games, while many PC notebooks have a tendency to run much cooler. So why do MacBooks get so hot? Well, that's what I'll explain right now. So when Apple's creating a product, they prioritize its industrial design above everything else. And while that focus on design resulted in Apple products being featured in museums, it also caused some functionality issues, with heat being one of them. Because the design team wanted the MacBook to be so thin, Apple's engineering team was forced to build the smallest possible thermal system to fit inside. But the problems didn't stop there. The design team also didn't allow the MacBook to have any visible ventilation, which made cycling cool air through the internals more difficult. The engineering team's solution to these design limitations was threefold. First, to use the product's hinge as a vent. Second, to throttle the processor's speed if the machine became too hot. And third, to shut down the computer completely if its internal temperature exceeded about 215 degrees. Compare this to the approach of PC manufacturers. Their notebooks are generally larger and thicker than Apple's. Take HP's Spectre X360 for example. It's about 10% thicker than the MacBook Pro to accommodate a more generous thermal system. More volume also means more space inside the machine for heat to dissipate, whereas the MacBook's compact design tends to trap heat inside. So quickly moving hot air out of the chassis becomes critical, and that's where things get even worse. The HP Spectre has a dedicated air vent on the back side, whereas Apple notebooks haven't featured a large visible air vent since the iBook in the early 2000s. And while the hinge mechanism on every MacBook does have an integrated air vent, they're not as efficient as a dedicated opening. Not only because it doesn't allow as much air to escape, but also because it can be easily obstructed. If you've ever used a MacBook on your lap, on a pillow, or a blanket, you were probably at least partially blocking its ventilation system, causing it to get even more hot than usual. Overheating became such a big problem that the 16-inch MacBook Pro released in 2019 would frequently throttle its Intel i9 processor to speeds lower than the previous i7 processor. Not to mention, users often complained about its loud fan noise. So to remedy this issue, Apple released their own processor called the M1. It's much more efficient and doesn't run nearly as hot as Intel's offerings. So Apple can keep making super thin and compact notebooks without burning up their users' laps. This is Greg with Apple Explained. Thanks for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next video.